The Mustang is not equipped with any modern precision approach systems, such as ILS. This means landings are performed using a visual approach pattern. In this lesson, we'll use a standard military overhead pattern. An overhead pattern consists of the following basic elements. Entry into the pattern on the upwind leg, where the aircraft is flown along the runway parallel to the landing course. The crosswind leg, where the aircraft is turned 180 degrees to take the downwind leg, using the turn to bleed off any excess speed. The downwind leg, where the aircraft is flown along the runway in the opposite direction of the landing course and is prepared for landing. The base leg, where the aircraft is turned another 180 degrees while descending to take the final approach. The final approach, where the aircraft is flown down a steady glide path past the runway threshold to the touchdown point. I've included an image with the mission briefing showing an example of the overhead approach pattern. To open the briefing, press Left Alt plus B. Press the space bar key to proceed. The lengths and altitudes of a pattern may vary. For this practice mission, we will assume a typical pattern of entry at 1,000 feet above ground level and holding that altitude on the upwind and downwind legs. Base leg, descending to 600 feet toward the final approach point. A normal 3-degree glide slope from the final approach point, starting at 600 feet of altitude and 2 nautical miles away from the runway. Press the space bar key to proceed. The airspeeds flown in the pattern depend on the aircraft. For the P-51D, the pattern speed is no greater than 200 miles per hour, because the landing gear and flaps can only be lowered at speeds below 170 miles per hour. One of the advantages of the overhead pattern is that it allows you to bleed off any excess airspeed in the crosswind turn before settling down on the downwind leg and dropping the gear and flaps for final approach. And touchdown speed is 90. Press the space bar key to proceed. Landing is one of the most difficult and dangerous elements of flying, especially in an airplane like the P-51, where a powerful engine and large propeller in the nose of the aircraft pull a massive amount of torque. At low speeds, the aircraft is very sensitive to power changes, and it's easy to get into trouble by mishandling engine and aircraft controls, in particular at low altitudes when there's little time to react. Once we enter the pattern, be careful to avoid large throttle movements and handle the Before entering the pattern, set the engine RPM to 2,700. Also, turn off the gun sight gyro motor to avoid damaging it in case of a rough touchdown. You should see the airfield ahead, a few miles east of the coast. You should also see a pattern of green gates arranged in the air to help guide you through the overhead pattern all the way down to the runway. The pattern entry gate is the large one, positioned 1,000 feet above the runway threshold. Take a heading for the entry gate, which will put you on the upwind leg over the runway, heading away from the coast. You're approaching the pattern. Level off at 1,000 feet and follow the gates to fly the pattern. Good job entering the pattern. You are now on the upwind leg. Keep the power down and monitor your airspeed and altitude. The next leg will be the crosswind turn, taking you 180 degrees left to put you on the downwind leg. You're now on the downwind leg. Maintain airspeed around 160 mph and altitude at 1,000 feet. Lower the landing gear by pressing G. Watch the landing gear warning light. Press the F key twice to set the flaps to 20 degrees down. The next gate will be the start of your base leg, leading you through a descending left-hand turn toward the final approach point. Control your airspeed to make sure it stays below 160 mph for final approach.